What's up, everybody? It's Bub-Z. I'm from IYF Studios and Gaming with Bub-Z.
My name's Ronnie, and I'm from Chocohobo Productions and The Attempters.
So today we're starting up a podcast in which we're going to be talking about horror movies or games. It's called the Bleedout Slab. So this is part of our Bleedout media channel that we're starting up in order to be able to start posting up our horror movies and stuff like that we get to do, and just general discussions and stuff, and just kind of hang out on these. So today we're going to be talking about our favorite horror films, two specifically. So two from me, two from him. So you go ahead and start us off.
Before that, did you? Because as soon as you said "Bleed Out Slab," all I could think about was the Rocky Horror Picture Show. Come in and see what's on the slab.
Oh, for the love of God!
I love it. I love it.
As you guys can tell, yeah, this is going to be a very organic thing. It's not being forced. Everything that we're saying here hasn't really been planned out. It's literally just us bullshitting and having a conversation and providing some type of entertainment to those who are into these things. So definitely, go ahead and start off, Ronnie.
All right. Thank you, sir. I will do my report now.
Reading off his hand.
I've done it before. I'll do it again.
True.
My favorite horror movie of all time, hands down, is Evil Dead 2. The first time I saw it, I went to a video store back when, they had those things. God, I wish they still had those things. I'm so nostalgic for walking into a video store and fucking looking at movies. And the only thing you could do to get close to it these days is like go to a thrift store and look at the movies at the thrift store that are like $1 or whatever.
Yeah, it's not the same. It's not that whole feeling of I get this for 3 days and I'm going to watch the shit out of it. Now it's like you buy the movie and you're like, and I own it.
Yeah, now this is mine. I will watch it once and it will go on a dusty shelf.
And I've just been called out. All right.
But yeah, I remember seeing it in the video store, and fucking it was just Ash with his fucking chainsaw arm and the girl in his arms and on top of the mountain rock or whatever, and I'm like, hey, this looks pretty good. And I went home and I fucking watched it, and I've only ever done this with a handful of movies. I've watched it, and then I immediately rewound it and watched it again. And I think I watched it 3 or 4 more times. There's only a handful of movies I've done that with. South Park, Bigger, Longer, Uncut, The Nightmare Before Christmas, and a couple other ones. But those are the movies that I'm like, God damn, that was good. I gotta watch this again. Like,
yeah.
I know some people who've done it with like Die Hard and shit because they just love Die Hard that much, but I don't know. Die Hard was okay.
Me and Twister. Yeah.
Yeah. The most mediocre movie I've ever seen.
You watch your fucking mouth.
It's funny. Yeah, and it's just the best horror movie I've ever seen. It's got the right pacing. It's got the right like gore. It's got fucking stop motion, for God's sakes. It's just got all this. It's horrifying and terrific and gory, all at the same, and funny all at the same fucking time. From 1 minute you get like a scene where a motherfucker's like cutting open his girlfriend's head, right? And the next scene he's laughing and everything in the cabin is alive, laughing with him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just great.
No, it's one of those series where you can actually divide up the movies to what actually follows through as like full canon, and then the movies where it's still kind of canon but not really.
Yeah.
So like number 2 goes with Army of Darkness, and then Ash versus Evil Dead, and that's pretty much it. And then you've also got the original Evil Dead, then it jumps to the 2013 Evil Dead, and then it jumps to the 2023 Evil Dead.
That's what I'm saying, but that's how good it was. That's how much it stood the test of time, because motherfuckers were like, this is such a good fucking movie that it needs to go on. And
yeah,
they said that so long that they were like, fine, we'll give you what you want. Just shut up. You know?
definitely. When I very first saw it, and like, of course, Ronnie can attest to this because he's mainly the person I talk to about this. Wasn't too fond of it. I honestly wasn't. I'm not the biggest camp fan. Funnily enough, even though I've watched like The Twilight Zone and The Outer Limits, and especially Tales from the Crypt, which is like camp at its core. I mean, the Crypt Keeper on his own is enough to where it's just like, okay, you're like a gorier version of a Saturday morning cartoon. Like, it all has camp. It was just like the first time that I watched Evil Dead 2 was like too much. But then I sat down and I rewatched it with you, because we sat through like the entirety of the series, all the way up to like, we watched every single movie in my living room on a tiny ass TV.
Yeah.
It was this 24-inch TV, and it was like 10 feet away because the cord wouldn't go any further out. And so we had to like grab the couch and pull it into the middle of the living room. And yeah, we just watched the entire film series and then the whole like series back to back, and it was like, why they got to do us like that with the last episode? But that's not what this conversation is about. And we'll talk about failed TV series in another episode. This is just about why things are our favorite. But Evil Dead 2 actually kind of replaced canonically the Evil Dead 1, because it's what it is. It's a continuation, at the same time it's not.
Yeah.
It's so weird. I remember you were talking about the interview where Bruce Campbell talks about like the ideal way to watch Evil Dead to Evil Dead 2.
Probably gonna end up watching that way from now on.
Yeah, so essentially you, from the moment that he goes flying through the trees and then he smacks into the tree, cut that and then start Evil Dead 2 from that point also. And that's exactly how it's supposed to flow out in order to become one cohesive part.
Yeah. And then it goes straight into Army of Darkness.
There's no pause there and stuff. And then, of course, after that, then you have to wait the oh-so-wonderful... Army of Darkness was 93? Was it 90? It was 92 or 93.
I'm not sure. Check. I was really young when that motherfucker came out. All I know, I didn't watch it myself until like 2005.
So it was 92, so... From 1992 until 2000, was it 12?
12
when they did Ash vs. Evil Dead?
12 or 13, one of those years. No, actually, it might have been 13 or 14.
15 to 2018.
Fuck me. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a hell of a good one, though. I'm not gonna lie.
The camp of that show was phenomenal.
Oh yeah, the show like ramped it up 10,000 notches.
Him versus the evil, what's called the fucking, the dude in the morgue. That was a
stuck inside of a cadaver's butthole or.
Yeah, it was that was.
That's great. I love it.
A plus, a whole A plus. Yeah.
And my second choice in movies should be no surprise to anybody. It's The Thing.
It's definitely understandable.
I love that fucking movie. I love it a little bit the same reason I love fucking Evil Dead is it's got camp. It's a little bit more serious in tone. The camp is not as bad as with Evil Dead 2, but it's a lot more serious in tone. But the camp is definitely there, either unintentional or not. It's there, and it's good. It's dark. It's all about paranoia and trusting your fellow man and like just in the middle of fucking nowhere. And what are you gonna do out in the middle of nowhere? Against something that's killing you and your friends, you know?
Definitely.
It's great.
it's one of those films, and I will be honest, that is in like my top 10 of favorite horror films ever. And just the setting tension, like the moment that, you know, the dog is running and they're trying to shoot and kill it.
Yeah.
Automatically is just like, but why does Fido have to get shot? Like, you don't understand what's going on.
Yeah.
And then that's like the immediate building block for what that movie slowly devolves into.
Yeah.
And that movie is definitely one of those where, like, if you went in there blindly and you had no idea what you were going into, yeah, as soon as that what's called the defib sequence comes on, which is like the most famous sequence from that movie.
Yeah.
That is just like one of those I'm sorry, what the fuck did I just watch, and why can't I bleach my eyes without losing sight?
I love all the practical effects in that movie. Those
that was
so
a phenomenal thing.
Yeah. It's just so fucking great in almost every way, and like, they've tried to replicate it, and it just can't be done. You know?
No, well, okay, because yeah, if we're talking about The Thing 2013, which I'm pretty sure is what you're talking.
2011.
That was 2011. Okay, I was wondering if it was 13. Okay, I just got it mixed up with Evil Dead. My bad. So that one, if you had watched the making of, they had all the prosthetics out, like, done for all of the creatures and stuff. Like, there was a couple of times
they just decided not to use them.
They decided to do a fusion, which normally leans into Uncanny Valley, which definitely The Thing did. The 2011 one. It fell too much into it. As for, oh my god, what was it? There was supposed to be, and it was filmed and shot, and they showed us like the actual pictures of it and stuff from that day of shooting. They just never finalized it, in which it was like a giant fucking baby.
What the
It
fuck?
was like a huge monster, like ugly alien baby thing.
Like,
that
it
was
turned
going to be
into
attacking.
a baby?
Yeah.
Huh.
And it was just like this giant baby, and they were like, yeah, no, it wouldn't have worked very well.
It's funny because I just watched that movie like a month ago because they put it up on Netflix. So it's like, I was smoking and drinking a little bit, and I was like, yeah, sure, why not? Let's do this. And I'm like, it's okay. It's, you know, it can't beat that first one though. That fucking with Wilford Brimley, I got diabetes. You know, just.
Yeah, that is true.
It just, just a lot.
Fucking Christ.
It just, I didn't like the cast very much. It was all Russian guys, and so it was just like them try. I know they have to keep it to the prequel, but like, it's hard to communicate between each other. We got a scientist asshole who's like, I need to be famous. You know, it was just very predictable. In a lot of different ways, the story wise, but that first one was not predictable at all.
Not at all.
You couldn't tell what the fuck was going to happen. You shared the paranoia with the actors, and that is what was great about that fucking movie.
Yeah, because you didn't know who was actually infected. On top of that, like the way that they introduced the monster in the original Thing in comparison to the new one.
Yeah.
The new one had too much of that new age flair.
Yeah.
To where,
exactly.
like, in the original, they go downstairs. You see it kind of encased in that, block of ice.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, when you go back to check on it, it's gone. They don't have to show you that the creature has busted out, where in the new one, they were just like, first 20 minutes, you watch it blow out of that fucking ice cube, and you're like...
Yeah, it took away the mystery of it.
Yeah.
Like, why the fuck would you do that?
The only time that they actually, like, did the thing correctly was when they were holding up that dude. I believe that was, like, the only time when they have his arms around, their shoulders, and they're carrying him. And then all of a sudden, like, they're doing the test on the teeth and shit in order to see. And then all, like, his torso just falls the fuck off, and his hands turn into, like, spider things that are crawling all around people.
Yeah, that was fucking crazy.
That was the only, like, sequence in that film where I was actually tense and bothered. Because other than that, it was just, like, that last section of the thing. Mind you, spoilers! Should have said this. I'll put a disclaimer at the beginning of the video.
No, it's all good. If you haven't seen a movie from 2011 yet, what the fuck are you doing?
He's got a point, but at the same time, I'll put a disclaimer at the beginning of the video.
I get it. You're 12. You're watching a podcast you shouldn't be watching. Guess what? Stop the podcast and go watch a movie.
That's a good fucking point. Yeah. Yeah. This is one of the only times you're ever going to hear a YouTuber, a fucking view subscription sucking violent creature, okay? Telling you to stop the movie and go watch, or stop this video and go watch the fucking movie. Because even though we're bashing on it, kind of, it's not
pretty good. You know,
it's not derogatorily bashing it, but it's like definitely in comparison to, you know, the 1983 version and the 2011 version, it's not even night and day. It's like night, and that should be thrown in the trash if you want to put those two
exactly
like that. Now,
they shouldn't be on the shelf together, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. So back into like the full wraparound of it, like the ending section in which like she was able to tell that what's called her, I don't know if he was a coworker, if he was a leader, if he was just one of the Russian dudes, I fucking forget. But
she could tell guy?
she could tell that
was
he
her friend. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, she could tell that he was a thing because of the piercing on his ear, which is a really, really cool way.
Oh, no, that was the helicopter pilot. Yeah.
Yeah, where it's like the like just trying to blend in, so he grabbed that earring and put it in, but didn't know what ear to put it into. Like, I was like, that's actually a fairly smart idea.
It's
that really is. And it had a couple of innovative things, but as for like a movie as a whole and stuff, no, it doesn't hold a candle to the original.
Not even a little bit.
No, you had. Go ahead.
Even with the actors too, man. That's what I'm saying. Like, what I always forget his fucking name.
We had Lloyd fucking Christmas in the movie, for Christ's sake.
Yeah. No, the original is what I'm talking about. I always forget his name.
Kurt Russell.
Kurt Russell. There we go. Why can't I ever remember that fucking guy's name?
Yeah, it's Kurt Russell, and then what is the other dude's name?
I have no fucking idea.
I remember it.
I didn't remember any of the actors' names from that movie. I'm really, really... By the way, I'm really, really bad, audience, at remembering the names of actors, places, times, and years. So you're going to deal with that a lot.
But, yeah, Keith David is the other one, too.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
The actors in that movie were good. Kurt Russell stole the show, obviously. He was the star of the fucking whole movie. Took charge the whole time, you know what I mean? You're going to do this, and you're going to do it now, and you know what I mean? Just like...
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And the other...
Oh, go ahead. No, sorry.
No, you go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say it... Yeah, from the very start, actually, Kurt Russell's character was like the headstrong dude at all times and shit. Like, Keith David tried to do a power play and stuff, but it didn't work out.
Yeah.
But definitely. Yeah, no. That is phenomenal fucking film.
Yeah. And there was, like I said, in the other movie, it was predictable. Like that guy, you could tell he was the evil scientist guy who was going to make a bad move, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The whole fucking time. In the other one, you were like, okay, it's just a group of guys. One of them might want to get famous from him, but for the most part, they're like, you know what I mean? They're just trying to survive.
Yeah, exactly. There was no definitive antagonist or protagonist.
Yeah.
Like, even Kurt Russell's character in the thing was antagonistic. He had his moments.
Exactly. Yeah, because the other guys were, like, afraid of him. They didn't want to get killed.
Yeah, but then on top of that, imagine that if he turned out to be like, you know, one of the things and shit, and he's just burning the other ones.
That would have been a hell of a fucking ending. Like, he's the only survivor, but it turns out he's also the alien.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, dude.
Then, of course, like, we get that same fucking thing on, the 2011, because the 2011 is what's considered a wraparound. It's the same thing as, like, Final Destination 5. What are a couple of other horror movies that fucking do that? Where, like, Ouija Origins of Evil.
I've never seen any of those movies.
Okay, so I'm going to give a quick, like, description of Ouija, not the movie itself, but just, like, how it worked out. And it's the weirdest thing ever. So Ouija, the first one came out in 2014. Me and my wife watched it. Stupidest fucking horror movie we had seen in a very long time, and I'm being dead honest here. Like, it was, there were teens and shit, of course, being like, this movie's amazing. No, it has like a 15 on fucking Rotten Tomatoes or something like that.
That's funny.
3 years later, 2017, Ouija Origins of Evil comes out. And I kid you not, every single question that was left in the first Ouija was answered in this prequel, which then ties into like a timeline thing that coincides with the first movie. It answers everything, and it made everything make sense.
Did it also answer the fact that how it was connected to the Mario movie, since it's called Ouija?
I'm gonna leave the Discord call. Oh my god, you just made me punch my microphone. Fuck you, microphone.
All right, but yeah, those are obvious reasons why those two movies are so great. But they really stuck with me as a kid, man. They really did. I rented them more than one time, to be honest, multiple times. I was a kid who didn't grow up with cable. If I did have cable, it's because my mom was like, "Well, it's been enough time that we can get the cable for like a year for $20 a month or whatever." You know what I mean? Because they make you wait. Like back in the day, they made you wait like a year before you could get the special again. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
There was a lot of times I did not have cable, but when I did it, having that rental fucking membership and VHSs only being $1 to rent was godsend. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's great.
I mean, Blockbuster back in the day had those dollar deal days and shit, and I forgot what fucking days it took place on because this is long time ago. We're talking like for me, this is about 20 years, maybe even more. When I was about 9 or 10 at my grandma's house, and there was the dollar section for VHSs. That is where I actually was introduced to Death Valley, The Revenge of Bloody Bill.
Oh God,
I love that movie.
Dude, I was introduced to so many local horror movies that were made in like Fresno and Modesto and San Francisco and all that shit. Like just the shit that couldn't distribute widely. So they were probably only and back in the day people made movies so cheaply on VHS. It's crazy. There's the amount of never before seen B-movie horror movies on VHS tapes in the 90s was unfathomable. Can't say that word.
Unfathomable bubbles. Yeah. But yeah, unfathomable. I got you, bro.
Okay.
But no good.
Let's go to your movies now, baby. What were your movies?
Okay, well, this is the obvious answer, and Ronnie already knows exactly what I'm about to say. 1978, John Carpenter's Halloween. So I am like, when it comes to like my favorite horror movie, no, I'm a traditional like basic bitch. I've got Starbucks in my right hand and my fucking carry around puppy in my left. Like, I am as vanilla as it possibly can be.
But why? Why would you say it like that?
Because it makes sense. But yeah, so I mean, the reason is, and it's just like, millions of other people of why Halloween is their favorite and stuff, because at its core, it's the original, like the original official like slasher that hit a worldwide platform like no other slasher had done before. The closest thing to it before that was Psycho. After that, it was Black Christmas, which slowly became a cult followed film, and that is also one of my favorite horror movies.
I was actually shocked. I was shocked when I first watched Black Christmas because I did not expect that kind of language in a movie so old.
Yeah, no, that was from 1973 also, which is crazy to think about. Like, that first phone call, oh my god, dude.
Yeah.
It was just like, they took risks on that. That was a violent, like verbally violent movie.
Yeah, you think that a movie like that would have got like an X rating, but they somehow got it not that.
Yeah, no kidding. But yeah, it was like also see, everybody always says that like Psycho and stuff is like the very first time that you get put into like a killer's POV, but as far as I know, there was like one from 1957. It was like a French horror movie.
I think I think you're right. But let's go back to Halloween just to keep on track here, baby. A little bit. We've had a lot of tangents, is what I'm saying. Not that that's a bad thing.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like I said, if it goes a completely different direction, then by all means let it just be natural. But yeah. Anyway, so that first establishing shot inside of Halloween, that is like the ultimate fucking curveball that they could have tossed at us. Because like you're in the POV of a killer and you're like, okay, cool, this is a slasher that's going in to kill, these teens that are going upstairs to obviously have the fastest 34 seconds of that man's life and then walk down the stairs like he accomplished something. Because that's how long they were upstairs. So that man pumped twice, nutted, peed, and then left, all within that, time limit. But anyway, back to what I was saying. The POV, you're just kind of like, okay, cool. This is just a killer that's going in. Is he going to kill the boyfriend? No, the boyfriend gets to leave. And I was just like, I'm sorry? Because I up until that point, I had seen like a couple of Chucky movies and stuff. I had seen Friday the 13th. I was 10 years old when I very first got to watch Halloween. And I was like, oh, he's not going to kill him. Cool. Goes upstairs, grabs this clown mask, puts it over, which is an amazing, way for a scene splice for that first sequence. And as they're going by, the next time is when he goes through the doorway and stuff. That's another scene cut. And then all of a sudden he walks into his sister's room and stuff and, ooh, titties. Probably my 10-year-old mind at the time.
Was that your first titties?
No, definitely not.
My first titties was the Terminator movie.
Respectable.
Yeah.
But I'm probably cutting that part out.
No, you won't. You won't.
Probably won't. Yeah, no. I don't even remember when the first time was that I saw that on screen. Yeah, that's also another thing too. But that's my own. That's a horror opinion, and we'll deal with that on another conversation. But yeah, then all of a sudden, just she turns around and says Michael, so she knows this person, and I'm like, oh, maybe it's an ex-boyfriend or something. Or so you'd think. Stab, 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 stab. Then all of a sudden, that long shot of when the parents like come out and walk up, and it's just Michael, a 6-year-old kid. Like that plot twist right there. You're just like, all right, where are we going here? What are we doing here?
It makes you think. It makes you think too, because like 6-year-old kids, their arms are very like bendy and like stringy, and like how would he have the damn force necessary to even stab someone the correct way?
Because she was naked. That you might have just actually brought up a solid plot point too. Like if she had clothes on, would he have actually been able to kill her?
Who knows?
See, we're changing the plot. New timeline.
It's just weird because kids like that. Like if you got into a fight with a kid, like karate fight, like an actual karate fight, it doesn't matter if he was a master. You know what I mean? He's a kid with string bean arms. You could fucking pick him up and throw him into the wall. You know what I mean? He'd be out for the count. Is what I'm saying. So how stupid do you gotta be to be like, oh no, he stabbed me once. Should I throw him across the room? Yeah, you probably should, you dumb bitch.
Yeah, and instead she's just like, grab boobs, oh god, and then falls over with like the 2 ketchup stains on her. But I'm not judging the movie because of that at all. I'm not. It's the late 70s. They didn't know how much blood they wanted to put into the film, and it was very minimal. Like, no kidding, the goriest scene that they have in that entire film is when Laurie's arm gets cut open. That's it. That's like the goriest fucking thing that you could possibly see in that movie.
Yeah, but it wasn't about the gore. It was about
No, it never was.
Again,
It was
about suspense.
for the very first time, like in a horror movie, when I had up to that movie when I had seen it, everything in that film felt necessary. And I am against nudity inside of movies and stuff a lot of the times. Which, like I said, that's a very don't say it like that. Jesus Christ, I don't need that in my ear. Just I'm not like I don't need that in my life. But yeah, no, just all the nudity that was in it was like basic teenager shit too. Shit that like they probably would have done back then, even in high school and stuff. Like no, I there were moments where me and my significant other. Where she did the same thing, vice versa and stuff. So yeah, you see anything you like, you do that. Yeah, you're gonna try and joke around like that.
I would straight up, if I had like $1 billion tomorrow, I'd probably make a series of actual horror movies with actual porn in them. 'Cause why not?
Whoa. But yeah, no, it holds up to so many horror standards of nowadays to where like you can watch it and it doesn't fully feel dated except for like the music and just the overall like filmography of it, because it definitely has that 70s vibe for horror.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But it's one of those horror films that don't actually feel dated.
The clothes too, like
the bell-bottom jeans on Jamie Lee Curtis. Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, every time I see her in those clothes, I'm like, it kind of looks like you're just wearing dude clothes. You know what I mean? Like the style.
She's one of the boys.
Yeah, the style was so different back in those days that all the girls looked like they were wearing like dude clothes, which nothing wrong with it. Like if you cut off her hair a little bit, it would have just looked like a dude.
But definitely like the entire sequencing of that film too was properly set out. Like just the simple fact that Michael in that film was moreover an anomaly rather than an actual human being, and I loved that. He wasn't supernatural, but at the same time you didn't know if he was or not.
Yeah, they put it on the edge. They put it on the fence. They were like, you decide. Yeah,
they build it moreover as like you don't know if he's this supernatural strength killer and stuff, or if he's like, and he teleports essentially because he walks at a pace that my handicapped mother would walk faster than. Yeah, so see, that's the difference though. Like Halloween 2 has slowly been just dropping on my list of, enjoyability out of a Halloween film. Like Halloween 2's reaching that lower area. Just because of the fact that like that was the shift where, they had made it. Friday the 13th had already come out. They had a few movies in between in which like they had more supernatural style killers. And this is of course before Nightmare on Elm Street, but this is after Friday the 13th and the supernatural like ability of the mother. And then all of a sudden Jason Voorhees coming back, and they were like, okay, maybe this is the step that we need to go to. Now, John Carpenter did not want to make this film. He co-wrote the script with Deborah Hill with a little bit of influence with... Oh, I forgot his name. I forgot who directed the fucking film. But, yeah, that movie stepped into Supernatural fully. That movie relentlessly went into it. Because Michael teleported... stabbing somebody in the back with a scalpel and being able to lift them up. No, you turn that bitch into a bowling ball. You've got one finger in one area and two fingers in another, and shit, she's bowling balled right now. It's the only way that you're picking her up like that.
Yeah, and then jump to the third one. He got burnt like over 95% of his body or whatever.
Fourth one.
Was it fourth? Yeah. Oh yeah, fourth one. I forgot the third one was.
You cannot forget about. No, Season of the Witch is one of those. The more you watch, the more you love it.
Oh no, it's a really good movie. I agree, but like, it did get a little bit more ridiculous every single time,
Definitely.
And they were all trying to follow each other back then though. Krueger was following Jason. Jason was following Krueger, Michael was trying to follow both of them, or they're all intermingling with each other, trying to up one another, and that's why at some point they were just like, Jason, oh yeah, he's just a zombie, he's just straight up a zombie, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and like later on in the Halloween series too, with Michael, he continued to convert into a supernatural entity, and then for some reason, the movie that dealt with specifically the supernatural entities, which is Halloween 6: The Curse of Michael Myers.
He got stopped by rocks.
Who threw that rock at me? But yeah, no, he was the most grounded Michael Myers in that film to date. Not even kidding. If you watch the kills in that movie, other than it was completely grounded Michael. It wasn't anything supernatural. He was just back to how he was in number 1. He was actually a threat. But the original movie is shit. Now, mind you, the producer's cut, in comparison to the original, I fucking blows it out of the water completely. Still a piece of shit. And I can honestly say that. They're still horrible fucking movies. Like Curse of Michael Myers, the standard one, which has Weinstein stamped all over it. There's no question. It has Weinstein everywhere.
Listen, children. You're going to hear a lot of podcast talk, and most of the time, Bubba will say bad things about the Weinsteins because they're crap.
No, okay, no. I'm not going to talk crap about Bob.
I'm fucking with you.
No. Harvey Weinstein deserves to get trashed on, that fucking freak. Bob, as far as I know, and as far as everybody else has said, didn't do anything. As soon as his brother was incarcerated for that shit, he abolished the Weinstein Company.
Oh, damn.
So, respect to you, Bob. You fucking took the money and ran. So, good on you. Because nobody had anything negative to say about Bob other than the fact that he was a hard ass. Like, that was it. He was just a very, very difficult human being to talk to and work with. That was all. But,
some people are.
Anyway, but, no, there's this thing from the early 90s until, like, the mid-2000s or so. There are films that came out that were made by the Weinstein Company where you could tell they let them have their freedom. And then there's movies in which you saw Weinstein across the fucking board. Halloween 6: Curse of Michael Myers is 100% one of them.
Well, yeah, didn't they have that problem with Rob Zombie's Halloween too?
The second one, yes. The studio crushed down on him.
No. You didn't watch the interviews then, because you see the interviews with Rob Zombie. I think he's on a podcast or something like that. He might be. It might not be a. It was like a podcast interview, and he was saying that those motherfuckers were on his back 24/7.
Oh yeah, like, no, because I also listened to what's it called those two like Halloween books. So yeah, no, I do remember that because I also watched that 4.5 hour long documentary about the making of the 2007. Halloween.
Yeah, they were on his back. Yeah. In fact, one of them was like, hey, we're gonna hire a new editor because we think the movie is crap, and we want you to use our editor. And then Rob Zombie was like, yeah, so I had to pay like this editor a shit ton of money, and I told him to wait in the waiting room the whole time while I used my editor.
Sounds about right. Yeah, it sounds like Rob Zombie style, which I don't bash. I don't bash Rob Zombie style like when it comes to how he makes films, because he gets films done the way that he wants them. The thing is, it's not the way that other people want them. So, but anyway, now see, this is where we strayed too far from the path. But we're still on Halloween, of course. But yeah, no, like the original just holds this special kind of place in, as stated, millions of other people's hearts and stuff, just because of the fact that the movie is like in all aspects a pure film.
Yeah, like
it catches tension, it has some humor, Linda. It's got the pedophile joke in it unintentionally, because they were supposed to say and then we'll rip Laurie's clothes off, and instead they said Lindsay is the other 6-year-old girl in there. So good job, Halloween, way ahead of your time.
Not in a good way.
Not in a good way at all. No. But it's definitely one of those pure films that, like, when I sit down and watch, there's no like, oh god, I don't want to watch this part right now. Like, that movie has none of those sections in it.
It's definitely become a staple of Halloween, because if you think about all the movies that were being played on the TV around the time that Halloween did come out in 1973, it was still Dracula, Frankenstein, Wolfman, The Mummy. You know, all those things were playing definitely on Halloween. That's not how it is anymore. Like those classics have now become the classics. But
Yeah,
the new classics are Jason, Freddy, and fucking Michael Myers. You know what I mean?
definitely. And we're also moving into that era now where the classics are going to be the legend classics, essentially.
Yeah.
And where Halloween, Friday the 13th, and Nightmare on Elm Street, those are becoming the classics. And now the 90s horror films are ushering in as the new classics.
Because the new generation, Gen Z
Yeah.
your kids, I forget what your kids, I think they're called the Alpha or Beta or something like that.
Something like that. I don't
So
know. But yeah, no, it's the new generation of horror that's coming through and stuff. Because yeah, you have to think about it. Scream the original is considered a horror classic.
yeah, true that.
And that has been classified in there since like 2015 or something like that. So yeah, which we'll talk about like generations of horror movies on other episodes and stuff. But
Yeah.
on to my second favorite horror film. Oh Lord, see this one's a hard one because I have to think about it and exactly what I would consider like my favorite horror film. But a lot of the times, me being me, it's normally a very purist answer for like horror fans and stuff. But yeah, I have to think, dude.
I mean, you had a whole couple hours to think about it before you started the podcast.
Well, I had an answer then, but now I'm just like, no, I don't think I would classify that as a favorite. It is a favorite, but it's not the favorite.
Wouldn't S be your second favorite?
S?
Yeah. S. R. Wait, am I spelling that wrong?
What are you trying to spell?
S. C.
See, that's kind of where I was gonna go. That's what I was thinking. But okay, so there's two different contenders for it, and it's either because
you have a lot of history with that one though. I assume that I always assumed that was your second favorite.
Well, I'm honestly thinking, yeah, that probably is there and stuff, and it's a very, again, stereotypical answer. But honestly, second favorite horror film would probably be Scream. Yeah.
Yeah.
For instance, Ghostface is actually taken over as my favorite killer, above Michael Myers, which is fucking crazy to say. But it's not the people that play Ghostface. That's not what matters. It's the simple fact that he is now officially a generational killer. And it's whoever takes up the mantle is now Ghostface. It doesn't, like, when we see Ghostface, it doesn't affect us because that's the face. That's the anomaly. That's the horrifying slasher, and it doesn't matter who's underneath it at the end of the film. It's just the fact that we get to see him again back at it,
Well, that's how they always done it. And even in the new movie, they were like, it's nice to see you again, like whoever the new fucking character is, and the character's like, yeah it's nice. Like I'd like to say the same thing too, fuckface, but you know what I mean. They treat Ghostface as if it's the same killer throughout all the movies, but it's not.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's
same
just
voice actor. So that's
like
nice.
if you look behind me, for fuck's sake, like there's a little handmade by robots Ghostface. I have the Nev Campbell edition of the Scream VHS box. And then you can't see it; it's out of frame. But I also have the glow in the dark handmade by robots, and I'm purchasing the other ones soon here.
Nice.
So I genuinely love Scream, like I really do. So yeah, I will honestly say that that would be my 1 to 2, because the other option was Sinister, because I fucking love Sinister.
Yeah, but I've never heard you talk about Sinister as much as you've talked about fucking Scream. You've talked about Scream at nauseum, to be honest. You know what I mean?
You're welcome.
You've literally watched YouTube videos and channels and and freeze framed on frames of the movie and made your own notes and shit. Like, you love that movie, obviously.
Definitely. And that was also like, honestly, I would say like my two favorite horror movies are probably like pins, like a blip in time where you can see the shift in how movies were being made.
Yeah.
Because Halloween shifted it to where it was like, fear more over things, but they still want the slasher, they still want the kills, they want that body count, in which that was the blip, and Friday the 13th was the explosion. Yeah. That was pretty much it. Because, go ahead.
It's really hard these days to pinpoint exactly what scary movie changed the game, you know what I mean? But in the 90s, that was definitely Scream.
That was Scream.
Changed the fucking game. Just like Halloween, too, because Halloween was in the 70s. Halloween changed the fucking game. And then you jump to the 90s, Scream changed the fucking game. I couldn't even tell you what movies changed the game in the early 2000s or even the 2010s.
Like, are we talking about official shifts? Like ones where
no,
you can...
I'm talking about where you can definitively go, this movie, narratively, look-wise, atmosphere-wise, changed the fucking game. You know what I mean?
We sure shit can't say Scream 4 because Jesus, that lighting. Love that movie so much, but the lighting is just some of the worst in a horror movie I've ever seen.
And I think that's also due to the fact that just in the early 2000s and the 2010s, like, there's such an oversaturation of horror movies. It's crazy. It's so crazy just how many titles went straight to DVD, you know?
That was the explosion of straight to DVD horror films, which was beautiful, mind you, because I found a lot of favorites, and then I found a lot of I don't ever want to talk about these again. Like,
I don't even want to look at this movie ever again. Clowns.
Yeah, exactly.
That movie sucked.
Oh, there was another favorite that I could have also said because it is up there with those films. Blair Witch Project.
Oh, yeah. That changed the game in a lot of ways, too.
That shifted the entire... Oh, no, that's the 2000s shift, dude. Paranormal Activity.
Oh, you're
right. That was the official shift.
You're right.
That's where it took all films to a completely different area.
And Saw and all that.
Saw was one of the game changers for like lighting and just aesthetics that tried to make you sick. That's kind of what that film series did. But for like the 2010s, see, that's actually a solid point that you just brought up. Like, what movie changed the narrative in the 2010s? I'm almost inclined to believe either Insidious or The Conjuring, because those were shifters.
They were really good. I don't disagree that, but I can't think of anything that changed it as they probably had their own changes in different ways, but like Scream changed it completely. Like,
Scream didn't only do that. Scream performed CPR.
To
the horror genre, because at that point in time, like, the slasher genre was so played out that people were just like, we don't want it. They were begging for creature features now and shit, because Freddy Krueger was a shift too. They wanted these like otherworldly creatures, or like these monsters like Pumpkinhead, for instance. Pumpkinhead is one of those.
It's a good movie.
Pumpkinhead was one of those, shifters for the B movies to show, like, because that wasn't put in theaters. That was a straight to DVD movie. And that like changed the demographic for the straight to DVD films, where it's like you don't have to have a huge budget to have a film that looks and feels like it deserves to be in the theaters, because it did.
Yeah.
But
you have copycats too, like, and copycats that did it well too, like, because my third favorite is The Faculty, hands down, and that's definitely a Scream fucking copycat.
It's not even that it's a copycat, it's because it was written almost alongside Scream 2.
Yeah.
And by the same writer. It was Kevin Williamson. So it's mainly because they both had the, what was it? The social narrative. Like, it was actually talking about things of that time. See, Scream is one of those films where it is dated as fuck, but it still holds up to the test of time.
Yeah.
And it is like, because yeah, they're still talking about Patrick Swayze like he's a hunk of a man and shit, and they're talking about seeing his penis. Like, that's definitely the 90s.
Yeah, for sure.
But definitely,
I just watched Not Another Teen Movie the other day.
I fucking love that film.
That movie is so fucking dumb, dude. But it's got a lot of those. I was like, wow, they reference a lot of dumbass rom-coms in this.
Yeah, definitely. And then on top of that, you're like, Captain America, watch your language.
Yeah, and that's what Scary Movie did for the whole genre, though, too. Like, Scary Movie was just like, hey, let's make fun of all this shit. Let's make fun of Poltergeist. Let's make fun of Scream. Let's make fun of fucking everything. And it was great.
Yeah. Yeah. Scary Movie 1 and 2, definitely, I will say, those were game changers for comedy, because then we got that huge wave of just absolutely obnoxious film writing.
But it's funny. It's funny because that's how deep the Scream game went, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That it in order to make fun of it, you had to make a whole fucking, I think 2 movies were no, or was the first movie just Ghostface Killer? I think it was just.
Oh no, it was just the first movie. Yeah, no, the second one was Bashing on the Haunting.
Oh, you're right. Yeah. That whole first movie though was nothing, but it needed its own movie just to be a parody of that movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's great. Love it.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, because if you look at the other Scary movies, they started to go all over the place. Like number 3 had so many villains it wasn't even funny. Well, actually, it was funny. I love the third one. That fucking shotgun shell rack into the fucking shovel is one of my favorite things I've ever seen in my life, dude.
Yeah, the Signs parody with it is pretty good.
Yeah. But no, Scream definitely was one of those like defining horror movies. It changed everything.
Yeah,
for horror
that's
movies.
That's why I can see why it's your favorite. I like it, but I like it for the killers. I'm not gonna lie. I don't like it because I don't like it because it's who done it. I don't really like any of the characters except the 2 killers because they were the most like. One of them was like a cool, like, let's play it by the ear type of guy. And the other one was just like a crazy, like, you know what I mean? Like, I just want to kill someone and see how it feels. You know what I mean?
See, that's what's funny because both of them did it.
Yeah.
Both of them actually went, like, they both flip-flopped on what they were doing. Because for a while there, Stu was the more insane, killing people, stuff like that. Where Billy was the calm and calculated, and then once they started actually, like, their plan started going through the way that they thought it was going to go, you see that both of them start switching. Stu becomes the more level-headed person, and Billy's now the insane fucking, person just trying to kill whoever comes across his way now.
Yeah, it's great. The dynamic of those 2 was great, too.
Because they also had multiple scenes with them together, and if you were to watch this film, I just lost my toothpick. God damn it. But if you were to watch their like whole entire banter back and forth, they're the only 2 characters next to Sydney and Tatum that actually have consistent back and forth. Like Dewey and Sydney have a conversation here and there, but it's nothing like as consistent as Billy and Stu. They have 3 full-fledged conversations built out inside of that film, which is the first sequence at the water fountain, the second sequence in the movie, what's it called, the movie store, and then the third inside of the house. Yeah,
and it's really good that they set those up. I mean, it was definitely better than the second movie where they were like, it's a guy, the killer is a guy you see 3 times.
Yeah, see, the original idea that also was supposed to be Sydney's roommate.
Yeah,
was actually supposed to be a killer and stuff, but then they switched it up because the screenplay leaked, and yeah, they had to change it up, which is why like there's like Scream 6 script leaks and shit nowadays and stuff, and if you read them, they're all different. They have completely different things. They have different characters.
Because they're trying to prevent people from fucking it up for everybody.
Yeah, and Yeah, but no, the original Scream, number one, the killer reveals, phenomenal. On top of that, like, as you watch through the film, you notice these subtle little hints. It is like the perfect, like, nice little balled up whodunit mystery, along with being a completely relentless slasher film. Because
Yeah,
that
but
very first time... Go ahead.
yeah, but no matter what, you're not gonna see those. Your first watch through, you're not gonna see unless you're a fucking character guy from a police. You know what I mean. The people who watch people's movements and they can see how they think and all that shit. Unless you're like a character guy from like a detective agency or some shit like that, you're not gonna see that shit. You have to watch it like 3-4 times before you see those subtle hints.
Well, there's one not so subtle one, which is there's two. It's when they're talking about, like, gutting people at that fountain and shit. And then Billy cuts in. It's called tact, you fuck rag. Like, that should have automatically been like, and yeah, you two are the killers. Because they're the only ones that are actually talking about killing people. Randy pitches in his own, opinion about it and shit with that, did they put her liver in the mailbox? I heard they put her liver in the mailbox. Like, that section. That's his only pitch in there. Other than that, both... fucking Billy and Stu both talk about killing people. That guy's fucking career blew up. Like, as in, like, he's not famous anymore very much. Like, Jamie Kennedy, yeah.
Yeah, he did that fucking Mask sequel and fucked up his whole career.
Yep.
Sucks.
But, yeah, so... there's that section, and then there's when Stu, or when Billy shows up at the party door when it's Sydney and Stu just talking. And right as soon as Billy slams into the thing, Stu gives him a look, and Billy nods yes, and this is right after Tatum gets killed. So that was like the nod of, yeah, your girlfriend's dead, bro. Like, that legit was the actual, like, affirmation nod, and it's like, yeah, I agree with you. After about the second or third time that you watch, you start catching on to these, like, little nuances. Like, the fact that if you can actually calculate exactly where each ghost face was and stuff, because, yeah, I did watch those videos and shit. But, yeah, the very first section, the Casey Becker murder, which is the very first time I ever saw that, it was at my grandma's house. I'd gotten the passcode for the TV because it was locked. Now, look, if there's any kids or younger generations watching this... You could, and your parents can lock the TV. Be careful.
But kids, remember, kids, YouTube exists, and you can look up a tutorial on how to get past that shit. Come on, go do it.
All right, yep. But, so, I got the password from my grandma and stuff, and I'm like, I want to watch the show. It's on Cartoon Network and shit. Now, mind you, it was. No, I was actually waiting for... what's called Scream to end because of what was going on after that, like that. I'm gonna be blatantly honest. I was fucking like 9 or 10 years old, and
he wanted that nut channel, the channel where you watch nuts.
We'll roll with that. Yeah, we'll go with that. Yeah, no, it was Spider Babe. All right. Anyway, that acting is a horror movie in itself. But yeah, so I'm watching that, and it's the very opening of Scream and shit, and I'm like, oh, this is kind of scary right off the bat. No,
yeah, the opening was great.
Yeah, as soon as it was like the mom goes outside after the father's just like, go down to the Mackenzies, and call the police, and as soon as she steps outside and the mom does that heart-wrenching painful fucking scream, and then they do that choppy zoom in on Casey's body and her guts are just hanging out and shit, I felt lightheaded, and I changed that fucking channel, and I didn't watch that goddamn movie. I didn't watch that movie again until I was about 15 or 16.
The first time I saw it was on Fox Saturday night, 1 o'clock in the morning movie where they don't censor anything because it's 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
It's fucking great. That movie night was awesome.
Yeah, I never like I couldn't finish that movie. After seeing that, I was like, what else does this movie hold? Well, lo and behold, there's nothing else that's gorier than that in that whole film. Like, there really isn't. You see Steve get his guts pulled out and shit, cool, and then Casey's swinging body back and forth. On top of that, I knew who Drew Barrymore was back then. You know how fucking horrifying that is to see Drew Barrymore hanging from a tree with her guts hanging out and shit when you just saw her in Charlie's Angels? What the fuck, man?
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, it's great, though. Like, they really did blow their load on that first fucking scene really hard.
Well,
I love it.
So Drew Barrymore came in, and she was like...
She made me come in, too.
All right. So... Lord, you made me lose my train of thought. You nasty bitch. So, Drew Barrymore, when she was on set and stuff, Wes Craven had talked to her, and he was like, look, you're supposed to be a star in this movie. You know, we want you to kind of just go the whole way through. And Drew is just like, I think you should kill me. Just straight up, I think you should just, you know, murder me in the first scene. And then just have me have, like, top billing. Because she did have billing above...
above the other actors?
Yeah, I can't believe I just forgot their fucking names. But yeah, there's Courtney Cox at the time. It was Courtney Cox Arquette. And then it was Neve Campbell. There we go. Jesus fucking Christ. I'm an embarrassment. So, like... She was like, give me top billing, because then the moment that you see that opening, people aren't going to know what the fuck's going to happen. Because they just lost their star actress. So they did the whole normal horror movie opening where it's like the lead girl and stuff. She's the blonde. She was like the stereotypical of all, you know, virgins not dying in films and shit, in which that movie also broke that trope entirely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another thing. Like, that was a trendsetter and a trope breaker, which is fucking great. I loved it. Just the whole mystery unraveling, and you never really know who it is until right at the end. Like the Billy fake out. That was fucking amazing. When Ghostface busts down that door and stuff, and, you know, a shanky, shanky, shank, but then if you watch it the second time around, you can see that he's just like, well, put the ketchup right there. No, you missed a spot, and now it's all over my wrist. Like, you know, you can see that they're pretty much trying to do that. And then Billy slides down the fucking stairs, you're just like, holy shit. And then when they do the double killer reveal, you're just like, oh. Yeah. Like, it was perfectly executed.
I agree. The best thing, the other best thing, and I think this is probably the last thing we should talk about it when it comes to Scream, but is the meta of the whole fucking movie. The breaking the fourth wall of Scream was probably the best fucking idea they could have made at the time.
Definitely. Yeah, no, the actual, like, acknowledging real life events and stuff like that was amazing. Yeah.
I think they even mic drop fucking Michael's name, don't they?
Yes,
pretty sure they do.
They name dropped everybody.
Yeah, and I don't know. It's by today's standard, it's kind of played out because they go meta with all kinds of things so fucking much these days. But back then it was very refreshing to be like, to have a horror movie acknowledge other horror movies.
Yeah, exactly. It was one of those things. It was fucking unheard of, is what it was. And then the next time that we actually like got a movie that was very under the radar and isn't exactly the best horror film, but Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon.
Is that one where he kidnaps an interview lady or whatever? Or no, it's a lady interviewing him, and she thinks it's all fake. Yeah.
Because it's in the actual world, like, in which Michael Myers, Freddy Krueger, and Jason Voorhees, all of those incidents actually happened.
I'm not gonna lie, that movie was good, but the last 45 minutes of the movie was good, because it's got a lot of build up, and I get
it does.
But the last and the twist on the whole movie, I love the end. I love the ending to that movie for sure.
Yeah, where I'm vice versa. I love the found footage aspect of it. The fact that they try to make it as real as possible, and then all of a sudden, like once he gets shot, and that interviewer is like, "Oh, I don't think we can do this again," and he's all pumped up about it. Like that's when like the whole script flip in that film. But we'll talk about that another time, because yeah, we're officially over an hour by a mile here, mind you. There's gonna be a bunch of cuts, but yeah. This is without a doubt like. This is gonna be fun. It's nice because we had like 4 episodes recorded before, but audio wasn't good, no bueno. So now we're just doing it this way.
Yeah, we used lavalier mics, and my mic just fucking shit out like halfway through the recordings.
Yeah, so we're doing it.
But
now,
I didn't notice it.
Yeah, we're doing it like this because it allows us to actually have control over our own recording equipment and stuff like that, and ensure that everything is working beforehand.
And we can just overlay it on top of each other's shit or whatever.
Correct. It's just going to be split screen, you and I. But yeah, and then whenever we have other guests and stuff, of course, we'll have like a picture down at the bottom and stuff of them or whatever the fuck. But yeah, definitely.
I think they call it like the triangle or whatever.
Something like that. But yeah, definitely that. So Halloween and Scream for me.
Just do it like a Brady Bunch opening where they're fucking they all light up and it's like podcast.
Oh Jesus. But yeah, no, like for me, Halloween and Scream. For you, Evil Dead 2
and the Thing. Oh man. That if you guys know what movies flipped the script in the early 2000s and 2010s, let us know. We really want to know what are those movies that flipped the script, that fucking did so well that it changed the whole game. Because we have some ideas in our head, but they might not be. We might be wearing rose tinted glasses. You know what I mean? They might not be what we think they are. Because for me, I think Saw for like 10 years changed a lot of shit. Because like when Saw came out, like that's when you got Hostel Part 2, and like a 10,000 other like gore porn movie. Fucking, you know what I mean?
Definitely.
But I'm not sure if that was the defining one or if there were other ones. So let us know down in the comments below, please, and thank you.
Absolutely. So, yeah, definitely, guys. This is the end of the first. I'm going to have to redo that because I already forgot the fucking name of our goddamn channel and this thing. But yeah. So, thank you guys for joining us. This has been the first episode of the Bleedout Slab. I'm Bub-Z.
And I'm Ronnie.
Until next time, we'll catch you guys later. Have a good evening.
Bye-bye.